Hello and welcome to the Malika Writes channel. My name is Malika Writes and today I will be talking about Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I really wanted to talk about this book because I read a review of it on Instagram and the comments underneath were sort of mixed, and I asked a few people about it and they gave me their opinions, and so I wanted to just, give my opinion here on this platform. So for those of you who have never heard of Normal People, it follows two characters mainly called Marianne and Connell, and it's sort of their relationship as they weave in and out of, school, and they sort of find themselves in this university environment and beyond. And the book is it's sort of YA fiction. And typically I don't enjoy YA fiction. I have always had a problem with YA fiction. So this was a pleasant surprise in terms of how much I enjoyed the book. I actually enjoyed reading the book. I thought it was okay. Did I think it was the best book I've ever read? Definitely not. Did I think it was, amazing and groundbreaking? No. I mean, it wasn't that kind of book, but it was a pleasurable read. I liked following the characters around. It did make me feel something. Frustration mainly, but it made me feel something. And it made me feel a different kind of frustration than I'm used to with YA fiction. YA fiction typically makes me feel frustrated, but in a sense that, why am I wasting my time? But this made me feel frustrated as in, I want the best for the characters and they're idiots, essentially. They're very book smart, I'll give them that. They're very book smart, but common sense is lacking in majority of the characters. And I think that's very, I won't say that's true of all young people, but that tends to be the sort of thing with young people. In the heat of the moment, all sense flies out, and essentially this is what we keep doing in the book. We keep common sense, just what is sanity? We don't know her, basically, in this book. And it was enjoyable, so I will give it that. I did think it was a good read, but I've seen some people who say that it didn't live up to the hype, and this is one thing about hype. It is the publisher's job to hype up the book. It is the media's job to hype up any book that they have been paid to hype up. Rarely do books actually live up to the hype, which is why I tend to avoid, feeding into the marketing, even though I know I shouldn't, because it's there for a reason. It helps the writer, of course it does. But if I have a book that I actually want to read, I tend to avoid looking at promotions and stuff like that, just so that I can go into it with sort of fresh mind and have my expectations where they should be. I mean, if it's a writer I've read before, then I'll keep my expectations based on what I felt about the last book that I read by that particular author. And I hadn't read anything else by Sally Rooney. I know she has another book, and I think I bought that book just to see. I can't remember the name, but it's somewhere on this shelf. I think it's Conversation with Friends. Yes, it's Conversation with Friends or Between Friends, something like that. And I have it somewhere on the shelf. So, Normal People was good enough to make me want to read more of Miss Rooney's work. So, coming back to the actual book, because I did watch the series as well, but I read the book first. I think if you're going into this book sort of looking for the characters to have this groundbreaking epiphany at the end, if you're going into the book thinking that the characters will sort of have a distinctive arc, I think you will be disappointed, because the characters don't really, and this is a bit of a spoiler, but the characters don't really have an arc. They sort of go round and round in circles and never really get anywhere. I mean, they learn things about themselves, I guess, but they don't really, there's no definitive, how do I even say this, but they don't get anywhere in terms of growth in their relationship. They're not any more certain of themselves than they were in the beginning. And I think the reason why I don't think that's a bad thing is because it sticks very much in line with their characters. I don't think, you know, if there had been such a definitive ending, it would have done a better job. You know, I think that but I think that the way that the characters were built up, it made sense for them to just keep going round and round in circles and frustrating the reader, because that's just what the characters were created to do. So about the series, and I liked the series, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the series. I felt that the series worked with its different elements well. Usually when a series has sex scenes in it, it's just the explicit scenes are just there for just to be there. But in Normal People, the explicit scenes were done really artistically. I kind of liked the way that they portrayed intimacy, what that looked like between two people who were sort of young and exploring what love was and all that stuff. And they did a good job of that in the series. It was, I want to say it was really emotional for me, having read the book. I was sort of like, yeah, I know they're going to be stupid throughout the whole series, but it did tug on the heartstrings in some places. You know, you felt for them even though you wanted to just slap them. But it was a good, the series was good. I enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the you know, the little colloquial terms that were used. It just gave it a more authentic feel, and that was used in the book as well, and I really liked that. You know, I have a special place in my heart for, you know, like rural stories, like stories that come out of like little countryside or things like that. So Normal People appealed to me because it was about these two kids from the country, and they weren't almost used to the big city, and they sort of finding themselves and everything like that. So for YA fiction, it surprised me and I liked it. I didn't really go in with my expectations super high, so I enjoyed the book. So let me just quickly address what people didn't like about the book, and that is, I've touched on this before, but let me just kind of address this, which is the lack of character development, as some people coined it. You know, I've heard people say that they just went back and forth again and again, and the book had little point to it. I personally think it would have gone against the personalities of the characters to have an epiphany at the end. It wouldn't have made sense just knowing how they were. I think it would have undermined all the characterization. It would have been more satisfying for the reader, of course, but I think sometimes you have to do your due diligence as a writer and stay true to character. And if you're going to give us, you know, something that's satisfying, it has to make sense within the realm of the world you've created, the characters you've created, things like that. You have to make sure that makes sense. And I think she did the best with the characters, and I think she did a good job. I don't think I've ever given this much praise to YA fiction before, but yeah, she did a good job. I enjoyed it, and that may make me a bit biased, but I do see where people are coming from. I do understand that it was a little bit of a frustrating read. However, I think it sat in line with how the characters behaved. I mean, I wasn't really expecting for this to be some sort of philosophical book where the characters suddenly worked out how to have a good relationship and how not to be so dramatic. You know, it's about young people, and that's always dramatic. I mean, That's always going to be turbulent. Infatuation is always going to be confused for love. That's something that never fails to amuse me, you know. I'm not saying this like I'm high and mighty or anything, but it's true. Sometimes when you look at these stories, when you look at even true life stories of young love, it's always infatuation and people call it love, and it's funny. But that's what this story was about, and I think it gave an accurate portrayal of what that looks like. I mean, I've watched friends go through that cycle, and yeah, it was realistic. So that's what I liked about the book. And it was not a hard read. I mean, it's something that you can knock out on a really long train journey, you know. It was enjoyable. It's just easy. I don't think you should go in not bashing YA fiction, even though I kind of have throughout the entirety of this video, but YA fiction for the most part is not something you're going to be racking your brain over. So I don't think people should go into this book with really kind of high expectations. It's just supposed to be a pleasant read about two people trying to figure out what love is, meanwhile feeling these really strong emotions for each other, and it's kind of amusing to see them go through that. So that's the end of this video. I've rambled on enough. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and obviously leave your comments. I love replying to your comments, so just leave your comments in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and this has been the Malika Writes channel.